Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the XM551 Sheridan. It's a Tier 10 American light tank. It's located on the north spawn of Malinovka and it's under the command of BassmanFromHell. And you're about to see 3 replays featuring this tank and the Bassman. Game started. Well, it sounds like he's put somebody we all know as the commander of this vehicle. Now, what can I tell you about the Sheridan? Well, fair amount actually. The Sheridan was actually the tank run by some of What Arty Noobs members. Yes, we've actually had members who operated this for real. Now, Bassman went down the water side, unfortunately did get spotted, and now he's being victimised by an Object 261. He can't stay where he is because there's a EBR 105 up there. So he fires his round at the EBR and tries to retreat. Takes another round, this time from an EBR 105. So he's lost more than 2/3 of his hit points. Yeah, and he's just been hit again, and he's now down to just 105 hit points left. And he's trying to get into cover. He's weaving like mad. And he's just been splashed by the Object 261 again, and I guess that Leopard doesn't want him here either, because the round that splashed him actually splashed the Leopard at the same time. So he's badly wounded now, but that doesn't mean he won't have a good battle. Now the Sheridan actually has a 152mm gun, but it can have in the game a 105mm. Well, that didn't happen in real life. They only had the 152mm, which was a rifled cannon, the M81E1, and it could either fire a Aslains missile, the XM13, or it could fire HE rounds. They didn't carry any armor piercing. The missile was supposed to do the job of any armor piercing work. Now he's setting up a nest here at the moment to spot, and there's enemy tanks up the hill. So at the moment he's acting as a back guard, but he's also spotting that AMX-13 105 who's in the dip. Now the history of the Sheridan is actually quite interesting, because originally the Americans realised that the Walker Bulldog, the M41, wasn't really a light tank. It was actually a medium tank. It was about 25 tons. And so they decided they needed a proper light tank that was very, very light indeed and could be airborne deployed. And so what they came up with was a project called the Armoured Reconnaissance Airborne Assault Vehicle. It started the work in 1959, and by June of 1962 they finally had a prototype, which was the Sheridan. But they did actually go through 2 other tanks before they settled on the Sheridan. One of those was the T-92, which is the Tier 8 premium American light tank, and the other one's the T-71, which you know in the game. But both of those were rejected, and the reason is that the Soviets came out with a little light tank of their own called the PT-76, which happened to be a tank that can actually ford rivers. And so they wanted their light tank, well, the Americans wanted their light tank to have the waterborne capability, and so they needed it to become a boat. Well, Bassman's finally knocked down enough trees to make a little nest, and now he's going to start brooding. Well, he has actually spotted some damage already. 2,910 hit points of damage spotted on the enemy tanks that he was seeing, were coming on the north side of the lake. And now there's a T-62A nearby. The Leopard's just fired a round in this direction, but I don't think he fired at Bassman because he can't see him. And there goes the EBR 105. So he is actually quite useful here, because he's actually the forward observer for the guys who are behind him. There's a load of medium tanks behind him. There's a T-110E3 just to the west of him, and of course the EBR 105 on our team is trying to hold off the Progetto, who is actually making his way in, But I think Bassman's just going to stay here for the moment. Unfortunately, we lost the Object 261. Bassman's looking towards the Progetto, but he doesn't need to do anything. There's the T62 again. He's only got 30 hit points left after all those encounters with the enemy earlier. But he's now picked up 3,679 hit points of spotting assist. So he is going to have a nice amount of XP at the end of the game. Some credits. And in fact, actually, he's now spotting the tanks coming down the hill, as well as the ones who are coming directly from the south, and that T62A as well. He's got good view range, 420 meters, so he can really see the enemy coming. You see all these trees really do help show the teammates where the enemy are. He wants to open fire on that 60 TP, but if he does, he will be spotted, and he doesn't need to worry because the 60 TP is taken out by our Leopard 1. We've got an AMX 13105 headed this way, but changes his mind. He's going on the outside of the lake, just on the edge of the lake, on that cliff top. But so long as Bassman can keep him in sight, then our guys can finish him off. There's the T62 again. Just down there. Now the in the game it's a 152mm rifle gun, but it has an alpha damage of 910 hit points with the HE. As you can see, it's marked down as HE here, and it's capable of penetrating 76mm of armor. And it's got a burst radius of 3.66 meters, so you don't even need to land the shell on the target to actually do some damage to them. And it's really a bit of a derp ambusher. What you do is you just drive up to an enemy tank, get very close and derp them. He's pulled back because I think he's going to take a shot. And he gets him! Yes, I think that's Chuck. Now it's got a rather long reload time. 19.18 is the book reload, but you can see Bassman's managed to get it down to 18.34. And despite the fact he's got no hit points, he's still doing an active job providing information for his teammates. He's auto-aimed onto the AMX 13105, but the target's gone. There's still a Leopard, well, two Leopards actually, in the enemy team. They've also got a Gorilla and an Object 261. So there's a fairly good chance they might win this. He just needs to keep the enemy in sight. The Gorilla's been spotted. And he was the one doing the spotting. And yep, masses of spotting. 6,400, 6,700. He's really earning the credits without actually having to do any major damage. He only got 230 hit points when he killed the T62A. But I think he's decided now he can go outside his little hole. And I'd be worried about that Leopard, but he is losing a lot of hit points very, very quickly. There's only 3 enemies left. That Leopard's on his last legs. He could easily derp that guy if he can get around near him. And he doesn't even need to. Okay, he's going to go up the hill because there's always a possibility the Object 261 might go up here. Relocate. It's always a good idea to relocate up to the top of the hill once your team have captured it. There's a little wood right in the corner where it's possible to hide from the enemy. Mind you, when the shells hit the enemy, it does sort of give away your position. But if you're on a losing team and you know you're losing, then you can hide up there and wait for the enemy team to get frustrated about where you are and then start lobbing shells into the cap when they're capping to get a reset. The other Leopard 1's been found, and he's being intercepted by our Leopard 1 and the T123. And they found the Object 261. Oh, what a shot! Derps the guy out of existence. This is what this little tank is famous for doing, derping. And the game is over because they've killed the Leopard. And that is first game over. In the second battle, we are on the Hinterland map. Yes, this is a grand battle, and Bassman's about to start. That's Chuck again. Yep, okay, it's the 30 versus 30 at tier 10. Well, I didn't finish the story about the XM551. They started work on the project in 1959. By June 1962 they had the prototype, and it was accepted into service by 1966. They manufactured 1,662 of this tank during the period of 1966 to 1970, and they even saw service in Vietnam. Now, it wasn't very successful as a boat, and it certainly wasn't very successful in Vietnam actually, because unfortunately the aluminium hull, it had steel turret aluminium hull, which was spaced armor, but it really just couldn't stand up to RPGs. And so even though it was good against small arms, if this tank went over a mine, or if it got hit by an RPG, it would suffer. Well, he's got a nice little hit there on the T-62A, but he has revealed his position to the enemy, and I'm pretty sure he didn't duck down long enough for him to go unspotted. So they might still see him. Okay, T-57 heavy. Oh, another hit. It's almost like he's trying to goad them into trying to come after him. Now, the main armament, as I mentioned, is the, was the XM13, the Sheridan missile. It was a very good missile because it actually had a 15-pound shaped charge. It was capable of penetrating 15 centimetre of rolled homologous steel, you know, the sort of armour you get on Soviet tanks, at an angle of 60 degrees. So that's a lot of armour. Easily makes this a very good light tank for taking out a main battle tank, such as a T-55 or T-62, something of that nature. That T-57 heavy's got very close. The problem with the Sheridan missile was that they did have some problems. Oh, he got hit by 3 people. I think he wasn't fully in the bush, and they saw where he was, and they all put rounds in at the same time, and he's now down to 2/3 of his hit points. They did have some problems with the Sheridan missile. In fact, in some cases the missile actually exploded in the breach rather than actually launching, and they did say that the missile was actually, in some cases, was bent, or that one of the shaped charge was accidentally set off by firing the missile, and as a consequence a few crews were lost that way. In fact, they even lost some tanks when they were fording rivers. Obviously this is supposed to be a waterborne tank, but they had to actually rig up a sort of like jury rig, like in the Second World War, where you had those duck tanks which actually had a canvas type shield around them to enable them to be in the water. Well, on the Sheridan, what they did instead was they had a plywood or a wooden shield at the front, which would sort of like form the bow of the vessel, and it was canvas for the rest of it to keep it afloat in the water. But on one river crossing, 3 Sheridans were taken out because they were hit by mines which were in the river itself. And in fact, towards the end of the Vietnam conflict, what they did is instead they used them for patrol duty. So they would be sent out at night to patrol the roads and capture the enemy or hit the enemy when they were trying to set up the mines for the next day. And apparently they did cover a lot of mileage, over 32,000 miles of driving in Vietnam. So they were very busy. Well, didn't hit him, but he hit the XM, so I'm afraid now he's down to 185 hit points. This is not good. He's very low. He can't afford to take another hit because he'll probably be out the game. He's loaded another HE round. Now the Sheridan was actually quite a big light tank for its size, much bigger than the T-71 and T-92, way bigger than it should have been, which of course made it fairly obvious to everyone. He's trying for a nicely dialed in shot, hits the Conqueror, and the Conqueror's down. So I think they've got most of the enemy in this corner of the map for the moment. He's just moving forward to try and find out where the others are. There's a couple of tanks further on. Ah, K91, they found that one. Now apparently 14 Sheridans did see service in Panama in Operation Just Cause. The one to remove Manuel Noriega, I think it was, the general who's actually helping the transportation of drugs through his country to the United States. And well, they airlifted 10 XM551s in and dropped them out of C-130s, Charlie Hercules, or Fat Alberts as we call them in the UK, and they airdropped them out the back, and 2 of those tanks absolutely, well, they just flattened when they hit the ground. They were completely destroyed. Doesn't say what happened to the crews, but I just hope to hell the crews weren't with the vehicle when it went down. I don't think they would have been. I think they would have airdropped in separately. But 4 Sheridans were actually airlifted in by Galaxies, and the other 8 tanks that were airdropped in were okay, so they carried on. Apparently 51 Sheridans saw service in Desert Storm. You see, the units that are actually issued with the Sheridan, although basically they were told to start retiring them by the Combined Services Command, they actually wanted to keep hold of them because they rather liked them. And so 51 went off in Operation Desert Storm, and they carried the Shalani missiles, and they actually fired some of those missiles at T-55s successfully. They built 88,000 Shalani missiles. Oh, good hit there, 358s. But it was finally retired in 2003, and so it's no longer in service. There are a few still around as gate guards and as well, in private hands, in museum collections and the like. Why are you doing that? I think that's accidental, actually. It just accidentally ran into him. They're 4 up on the enemy at the moment, and the fact that they're now going after the Arty, that GWE-100, he's not bothered that he's been spotted, but he is now, and he's now out the game. Now, one of the things that's really good about the Sheridan is that it does have good gun depression, 10 degrees, and it's got a high view range as well, and the stock gun's quite good as well. That's the 105mm. The spaced armour does work against HESH and heat rounds, but as I said, it's not that good at stopping rounds when they happen to be armour piercing. They'll just go straight through like it's made of butter. So as you can testify from the number of holes he's got in his vehicle at the moment. Okay, he's found a Guerrilla 15. Not for long. He's gone. There's only 6 enemy tanks left alive. Looks like the Jaeger just got hit. So I wouldn't want to be near the Jaeger at this moment, because I think whoever hit him is probably still around, firing in this direction. It might be that Guerrilla 15. He has been spotted, so he needs to get the hell out of here. Okay, that Guerrilla's suffering. In fact, he was angling up for a shot. I think the ground's against you there. You need to move a bit closer. As I said, it's actually one of the biggest light tanks around, and that's a bit of a problem because it is so big, it makes a big target for anyone to shoot at. There's only 2 enemy vehicles left now, and they're both Arty. So it's just help yourselves. There's the Object 261. I think the best thing to do is just drive up to the 261, get really close and derp him. There's the other one, the back chap, 155-58. He's auto-aimed on. No, he auto-aimed off, but he's on the move. That's why he did that. Nice try. And he was killed by the STB-1 in the end. So the second game is also a victory on Hinterland. And the last battle in the series is on Nebelburg. Another grand battle, and it's about to start. Oh, he's got Circon's colours. Boo, hiss, boo. Circon doesn't like Arty. But most of the other people in Team Clash don't like Arty too. Well, here is demonstrating one of the better aspects of the XM551. It's fast. 65 kilometers an hour forward speed, even though it's quite a big tank. And fully laden, it's 20 tons in weight, but it could motor. It really could. Mostly down to the fact it's a light hull made of aluminium. Of course, that is a bit of a problem if it catches fire, because aluminium melts. And, well, with standard tank rounds, yeah, they tend to cause the fire. They tend to get out of control very quickly. But, oh! He's been smacked by an EBR 105. He fires one back in anger, but I think he's managed to get up the hill. Oh dear, the Arty. Oh no, it's not the Arty, it's Object 430U. And there are some enemy tanks making their way towards him, but his teammates now know where these guys are, and he might be able to persuade them not to come up the hill. He can't see the 430. The STB saw him. I can see that the guys are getting close, because I can see trees and bushes moving. And he's taken another round from the EBR, down to 1/3 of his hit points left. But he is spotting, and he's getting spotting damage. And there's another one gone. He's living dangerously in this tank. One of the reasons you do live dangerously, though, is the massive dispersion on this gun. 0.51. If you aim it towards the enemy and pull the trigger, you're lucky if it hits the target. Even if you fully dial in, it's not that accurate. He's got a damaged engine, damaged gun. He has got a repair kit, so he could actually use that and repair everything, but he seems to be doing okay here at the moment. And there's another two enemies have gone. He's now up to 2.2k of spotting. And again, he's asking for help on that Leopard 1 directly ahead of him. There's more than that Leopard there, though, because you can see trees going down, so somebody else is there. He just can't see them yet. Ah, there's an Object 140. And he's getting more spotting assists. Well, yes, a lot more. He's up to just under 5k. And that Leopard's still there. He's auto-aimed on, but he takes it off. Or did he auto-aim? It looked like he did for a second. Yes, he might fire around in that direction anyway. Oh! Well, he got some spotting anyway. Even if he didn't actually hit the guy, he's over 5k now. I think one of the reasons why it's difficult to play the Sheridan is it is such a big tank. It makes a big target for the enemy to shoot at. And of course, because the armour is paper thin, it's only 14.3mm on the front of the hull, 31.9 on the sides, and 12.7 on the rear. The turret's slightly better because it's made of steel, but it's still 38mm at the front, 15, nearly 16 at the sides, and the same amount at the rear. So paper thin armour all round. But the crews who had this tank seem to like them. They seem to do rather well. You could probably get a shot on that gorilla. Yes, he can. Oh! That's sweet. That's a penetrating shot, that one. A low roll, 837. Remember, it's 910 alpha, but he did pen the gorilla. And there's the Leopard again. He has lost some hit points this time, and he's gone. Two good shots. One of them from a high caliber gun. And Bassman's now up to 7.5k of spotted damage. But he's got enemy just in front of him. A lot of them. He's just staying here temporarily, waiting it out. The Leopard was the main threat, who seemed to be coming up the hill, but all he needs to do is keep these guys lit, and he can do so from here. Oh, lost one. Just needs to keep them in sight so his teammates can do damage. Doesn't need any undue heroics at this stage. I think actually, I seem to recall, Bassman did tell me that he had a food delivery at precisely one moment during the game. And I think this is the moment. Yes, he's not moving about, because at the moment he's at his front door taking delivery of his food, his meal for the evening. And in fact, actually, 7.5 spotting, good work, guys. He's actually saying that he's downstairs paying the delivery man, or rather receiving all the food, putting it in the kitchen. And his wife, yeah, he's back to the game. He's back. Well, sometimes you do get interruptions during your game, and that was one of them. I know, he was absence without leave, but it was funny, because even while he was still up here, he was being helpful to his teammates. Now, you've got very little armour and very little hit points. He wants some damage. Yes! Yep, that Wizzy won't like him. And he's gone, and that means there's halfway through, because there's still 15 enemies out there, but it means he's now got to try and find the rest of them. And now he's got to go through open ground, which is why he's weaving a bit, because he doesn't want to give him an easy target. But Sixth Sense will only kick in 3 seconds after he's been seen, so he doesn't want to suddenly find out, yep, the enemy did see him, because he was careless. That's it, he managed to get to that spot unsighted. This is where it does get very dicey, because he could get spotted by the tanks to his left. There's a gorilla up ahead. Oh, he's in sight of that gorilla. Surely must be seen. He's very stealthy. He's a light tank, but he managed to spot that gorilla without the gorilla seeing him. Now, is he going to find an Arty somewhere around here? It would be quite nice if he could just drive up and derp somebody in the rear. Oh, there is an enemy, and he's watching this way. It's a Jaegeru, and he is pointed in this direction, and he's coming down. He says, oh, yum, yum, light tank. He's going to have to tempt the guy to come out again, because he actually stopped. Where are you? Doesn't want to give that 17cm gun an easy hit. Okay, he has been spotted. The Jaegeru did see him. And now he's going to leave it to the IS-7 and his teammates to finish the guy off. He could sneak round the other side. Jaegeru just took 71 hit points of damage. That IS-7's not very well angled on the target. There's only 5 enemies left. This Jaegeru is one of them, and he's now starting to take damage. He could possibly run around the other side and attack him from that side. The Jaegeru would not be expecting somebody to come round from the other side to get him. I think the TVP T5051 is going to do just that, although he's headed off towards the castle. Is he going to turn right and come in this direction? Yes, he is. That's what he's doing. He's coming around this way. But he's changed. He's going off. Oh, what a disappointment. He's going off into A8. Turn around and come back. There's a Jaegeroo just around the corner. Well, 268. No F's given. Hello! Get behind you. Shoot him in the rear. That's it. 274 hit points. He'd been waiting a long time to get that. And that's it. They've won the game. All enemy dead. Nicely done. And here's the end of battle results for the first game in Malinovka. And you remember, in that game, BassmanFromHell had very little in the way of hit points left after, well, only the start of the battle. And he had to make a nest for himself to, well, spot for his team and allow them to get some damage. You can see that he got a second-class tanker in that game, even though he didn't actually do a whole lot of damage. He spotted like a champ. He got a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage, a Hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from at least 4 enemy vehicles. He got a Spartan because he managed to block a ricochet or non-penetrating hit from an enemy team player when he had less than 10% of his hit points left. And he also got a patrol duty because he was the only one spotting at least 6 enemy tanks whilst they were damaged. His win rate wasn't that high. It was only 416, but if we look at the team scores, you might see something rather unusual. Yep, he's very low on damage, only 433 hit points. The high scorer was a Leopard 1 on his team, got a high caliber and Confederate with 7,832 hit points, and the Leopard 1 on the enemy team managed to get 4,394, and the next high score after that was the Object 140 on his own team with 3,153. So 433 hit points, yeah, is on the bottom 4 of his team. But when it came to kills, he was actually joint second because the highest scorers were the Leopard 1s who managed to get 3 kills each, and the same on the enemy side. Yeah, the Leopard 1's a very good tank, very good gun. And, well, surprising thing is that Bassman, even with depleted hit points, still managed to get 2 kills in that game. But when it came to base XP, you can see he's much further up the table. Yep, the top scorer was that Leopard because he did a lot of damage, 945. The next scorer being the Object 140 who got 921. And there's the Bassman with 808 base experience points. Yes, he did very well because he spotted like a champ. Let's have a look at detail. 3 shots fired, 2 direct hits, no penetration, but 2 splash. Damage of 433 hit points, all of it at close range. 4 hits received from the enemy, 3 penetrations, 1 non-penetrations, and 2 hits by way of splash damage. Yes, he did receive fire from the Object 261 on the enemy team. 4 enemy vehicles spotted, 2 enemy vehicles damaged and 2 destroyed. And 6,942 hit points of spotting assist. Yeah, massive amount of spotting. Almost as much spotting as the Leopard 1 did actual damage. So, when it came to credits, he earned 51,444 credits from the game. Got 25,722 from personal reserves. Total of 77,166 credits altogether. After repair, ammunition, resupply and consumables, he still had a profit of 33,627 credits. He got 7 bonds because he was tier 10 game and 1,212 XP, no multipliers, so that's all he took away. So first game, very, very good indeed. Incredible considering how little hit points he had left at the end of that game. Let's have a look at the second one. That one was on Hinterland. And in this one, he managed to get an ace tanker, and in fact, it was his first ace tanker in this vehicle. He managed to get a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points again. He also got a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle. Another Hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from 4 different enemy tanks. And this time around, he got a bruiser medal as well for getting at least 5 critical hits. He managed to get 6. He also managed to pick up another patrol duty in this one for spotting damage on at least 6 enemy tanks and being the only one spotting them when it happened. But this time around, his win rate was a lot higher, 2,356. So let's have a look at the team scores on that one. Well, it puts him about mid-table when it comes to damage. It was a grand battle, and that's an awful lot of tanks, 30 tanks in total. And, well, that's okay. He did 2,511 hit points when the high scorer was a Badger who managed to get a tank sniper and 5,581 hit points of damage, followed by the Guerrilla getting 5,102. So 2,511 is still pretty good. When it came to kills, though, I'm afraid, yes, he's way down the table because he didn't get any kills at all, but that's immaterial because if we look at base XP, yep, he's right at the top of the table. 1,259 experience points out of that one. The next high scorer being the Gorilla with 1,088, and then it was the Batchat 155.58 who picked up a Confederate on 1,072 base. The Badger came just after him with the Stack Sniper, and then we've got a pair of STBs with Pascucci's and Confederates. So, a pretty good game when it comes to Bassman on terms of spotting. Let's have a look at detail. 9 shots fired, 6 direct hits and 1 penetration on this game. I think he penetrated the... I'm pretty sure he penetrated the Arty. He got 6 splash as well, damage of 2,511 hit points, of which 673 was at more than 300 meters. And that's a miracle considering this gun is not very good at long range. As you know, it's got very high dispersion, 0.51. The shells are not likely to hit the target at long range. They're more likely to end up in a different postcode. But, well, Bassman did get some hits at long range, and therefore, yes, he got some damage. 4 hits received, 4 penetrations. 3 of those shots hit him at the same time because he popped up into the bushes when they could see him, and yeah, they all hit him immediately. He also got 1 hit by way of splash damage as well. He spotted 8 enemy vehicles, damaged 6 of the enemy, didn't get any kills off that, but he got 8,962 hit points of spotting assist out of this game, so it's a huge spotting game, and that's why his XP is so high. 81,494 credits from the game. After repair and ammunition resupply took away 55,641 credits. You got 7 bonds and 1,888 XP, 7,556 for completed mission, I think it was holiday ops actually, and 9,444 experience points altogether. So an exceptionally good game. Well worth the ace tanker that he managed to get out of this one because he really did help his team and got the highest XP score. Let's have a look at the last game. That was on Nebelburg. Yep, that was a first class tanker, and remember he had to go down and get the food delivery at one point, so he was sitting there inactive but still doing his job, so to speak. He got a spotter badge in this one again for spotting at least 1,000 hit points. He got a Hand of God again for taking damage from at least 4 different enemy tanks, and yet again he got a patrol duty, so he seems to be collecting patrol duties like they're going out of fashion. And his win rate from this one was 1,271. Not so high, but again, I think this may have been down to the fact he didn't do as much damage as he did in the previous one. Well, mainly because he did actually take a lot of fire from the enemy. Let's have a look at team score and see where he stands on this one. Well, he's a little further down the table when it comes to damage. Yes, 1,362. You can see he's actually in the second half of the table. The high scorers in this game was the Object 268 on the enemy team. Got a tank sniper, 6,179 hit points. And the next high score after that was an E4. Managed to get 4,881. Followed by 2,684. The Object got 4,396. When it came to kills, again, he's way down the table. He didn't get any kills at all in this game. But the high scorer was the Jaegeru with 4 kills. 3 kills went to the 2684, 268, 261, and 2 members of the enemy team, their Progetto 65 and their Object 261. When it came to base XP, he's top of the table again, 1,135. He did do a great spotting job. The next high scorer being the 2684 got 974, and the E4 managed to get 956. The E4 managed to get the Spartan. The 2684 got a Dimitrius. Bassman fired 6 rounds in this game, got 3 direct hits and 1 penetration on the enemy, 2 splash. Damage of 1,362 hit points, of which 837 was at more than 300 meters. Again, he's firing long range and he's getting hits at long range, which is surprising. 4 hits received, 3 penetrations, and 2 hits by way of splash. Yes, he was hit again. It's a big tank. It's a very large tank. It's not exactly a light tank when it comes to size. It's actually more like a medium tank when it comes to size. But it is very light in terms of weight, and it doesn't have much in the way of armor, which is why the Sheridan does tend to take damage. He spotted 6 enemy vehicles, damaged 3 of the enemy, didn't get any kills, but he got 11,414 hit points of spotting assist, even though he wasn't actually at his desk at the computer for some of that game. It's quite funny. Okay, on a credit side, he earned 82,836 credits out of this game. Repair, ammunition, resupply, he still took away a profit of 20,188 credits. Mind you, if he'd had a free-to-play account, he would have made a loss. But he did get 7 bonds because it was tier 10 game. You got 1,702 XP, 6,812 for holiday ops, I think that was, and 8,514 experience points altogether. So he's getting better and better at spotting, although he is actually taking fire from the enemy whilst he does it. So maybe he does need to improve his ability to remain stealthy, but it's not a stealthy tank really, that's the problem. If he was in a T100 LT, he could probably sit in those bushes and they wouldn't see where he was. But the fact that he's a Sheridan makes it very easy for the enemy to locate where he is and pump rounds in there, and that's why he keeps taking damage in the game. But he does do the job, he gives them the spotting, they get the damage done, he picks up the assistance, and he's getting better as he goes. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bassman send us a replay showing he's got this first, second and third mark of excellence in this vehicle before long. I know he likes this one and the AMX13105. They're both very different light tanks in a way. This is more of your derp, ambush and runaway tanks, or a spotting tank as he seems to show it. The AMX13105 is also a bit of an ambush tank, but it's got those 3 rounds in it, which means that you can do a lot more damage to the enemy if you get up close to them. So yeah, different tanks, different games. So I hope you enjoyed those that little history of the Sheridan. I especially read up on Adapted, got my information from all the encyclopedias and books. It's an interesting tank. I'm not so sure I want to go to war in one. I think it won't likely be very porous towards the end. But I think actually it is an interesting tank. So yeah, I think we're going to see more battles in the Sheridan in the future. If you like those replays, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel and leave a comment down below because it helps other people to see the video so that they get to comment on it as well. And the more people that see it, the better for our channel. We're still fairly low on numbers. I think that may be down to the fact that even though we do share the videos out, I'm afraid still not many people have actually heard of us. And that's one of the reasons why occasionally I'll do a replay from one of the other pages to help people recognise that, yes, we do fairly good commentaries, but sometimes. And it's a good way to actually get your game recognised by other people. So, thanks very much for watching.